Hello, I'm the X-Toycat and welcome back to the video. Today I want to go through some bad Minecraft advice that actually works. I think it'd be kind of fun to go through some tips in Minecraft that just sound really awful on the surface and that you wouldn't believe if a friend told you, but that can actually help you out in a whole bunch of different areas, whether it's saving your life, whether it's just small efficiencies, or whether it's building. Hopefully you learned something from this video, and if you all do, I'd very much appreciate a like because it helps out the channel a lot and allows me to continue doing what I do here on this channel. But with that said, let's get straight into it, shall we? And let's start, with Black Leg Steve over there. By the way, do you like this view of my creative world? I rather do. Let's start with the very first tip here, which is to do with saving your life. So, full damage is one of the easiest ways to die in Minecraft because any fall above 23 blocks is an instant death. If you don't have feather falling or you don't have water or some way to, cushion the blow, you're going to die. However, if you're trapped on an island, like I happen to be right now, and there's no way down, you're kind of just trapped up here forever because my spawn's up here too, and it's like, oh, well, I guess we're kind of done with that whole thing. However, the way you can actually save yourself with this is to do with falling into lots of things you wouldn't figure. So, one of my favorite tips on saving your life that most people think is, awful is jumping on a pig to save your life. So, admittedly, this is a really hard one to pull off, and it's going to take like 5 or 10 attempts, but at least for me because I'm bad at this. However, if you if you get your timing just right, you can fall onto a pig and survive every single time if you know exactly what you're doing. Because again, if you can land exactly on top of the pig, which I think we're going to do right now, okay, I landed on the fence post instead. If you land exactly on top of the pig and you press the the trigger at just the right time, or the right click or whatever it is on which platform, basically if you can do that just the right time, then you'll land on the pig before you hit the ground. As long as your bottom of your model doesn't hit the ground, then you don't take the full damage, which means that you can actually survive. So again, like I said, I'm really bad at this one because it's especially hard to pull off, but if you can do this, if you got your timing just right, you can land on a pig and still survive, and you can also land in boats. The boats are a bit easier, but there we go. As you can see, no full damage. We are in survival, very much so, and the pig just saved my life somehow, because if you land on a pig, it will save your life. So yeah, pigs with saddles are actually a way to save your life, which sounds ridiculous on the surface, right? Like, oh yeah, just land on a pig, you'll live, but it actually does work. So yeah, save your life with the pig, and isn't he a little hero there? So let's let him go free for that one, and let's move on to the second, piece of bad advice that actually does work, because it is to do, with lava. So let's just say that you're at lava for some reason. Maybe you're getting rid of items you don't want anymore, whatever your reason is for being at lava, and then you get hit by it. Well, that sounds like an awful thing, but it actually can be used to your advantage. So again, this sounds ridiculous on the surface, but lava can be used as a tool to help you jump, and you might even want to use it to make like a one-way, way out of something that only you can do. Because if you're on fire, like I am right now, pretty badly actually, and then you'll see what will actually happen if I, when that fire hits me, is I jump a little bit higher because it knocks me a little bit, which means if you want to jump over fences, for instance, you just have to time it right, and boom, I did a 1.5 block jump. You can't normally jump over fences, or you can't normally jump over, brick walls like this, stone walls, but I just did it right there, and it's possible because of the damage. Again, poison and lava will both do this, so poisoning yourself is also a good way, but it sounds ridiculous on the surface to be like, oh yeah, just poison yourself, it's really good for parkour, but it genuinely actually is, because as you can see, let me show you those same jumps now, no matter how hard I try, it was only possible while I was on fire, which means that again, you can actually have like parkour and stuff that is only possible for people who are on fire, which sounds ridiculous on the surface, but is actually true. So yeah, that said, let's move on from this to the third piece of Minecraft advice that sounds terrible on the surface. Again, because you never trust a friend that's like, oh, trust me, just step in the fire, it makes you really good at parkour. Let's move on to the third little thing here, which is to do with, like pretty much any tool in Minecraft. So any tool, any bow, any sword, any weapon, any piece of armor, anything that can be repaired together. So the repair function is one I don't see most people using, but it's actually really handy because it gives you a 5% bonus. And I know on the surface that sounds like, oh, that's not actually a big deal, but let's put it in perspective. So let me show you right now that this does work, first of all. So a flint and steel has 65 uses. So first of all, let's use both of these flint and steels for 34 uses. So it'd be, I guess that's 5 by 7. So then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use this up for 34 uses. So we'll leave one blank from this little thing, hopefully not go on fire. So we're going to use 34 uses on this one, right? And then we're going to take another flint and steel and use 34 uses on that. So that should be 34. You can recount if you want, but let's just assume it is for now. Then let's do the same thing here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we're going to do the exact same thing here now. And in theory, if you were to repair the two together, if it was just the two added together, you'd only get 62 uses because you used up, you've only got 31 left on both. However, because you get a 5% bonus for repairing any items, no matter how much they have left, you get a 5% bonus, meaning that even though we've got less than half on both these things, we repair them together and we get a full, 64 because you get a little bit of a bonus. I think it's 3 extra things, which is really handy like that. So yeah, basically, I guess that'd be 2 in that case, wouldn't it, to get you to 64? But yeah, basically, basically, if you repair items together, you get an extra 5%. It's actually not a full 5% depending on the item, but if you have a 2 diamond tools, let's say you got 2 diamond swords or 2 diamond shovels, if you repair those 2 together, you get an extra 78 uses out of that, which is ridiculous, right? Like the fact that, by the way, yeah, again, I think I did something very slightly wrong there, but yeah, basically, the fact that you get 78 uses just for making 2 tools instead of 1 and then combining them, it's one of those things where if you have more diamonds, you don't have to use as many diamonds, because that 5% bonus of, let's just say in your whole world you use 20 shovels, boom, that's a free shovel. And I know, that sounds like such a small amount, like, oh, 1 in every 20 shovels is free, but if you're doing a giant project which needs a lot of shovels, or you're doing a giant project which requires a lot of mining with pickaxes, then, basically the best way to repair is to use, do it like that. And although certain tools are better to repair in the anvil by, throwing diamonds on like that, shovels, for instance, are always just going to be, again, free 5% for using it that way, whether it's iron, whether it's diamond, whether it is, and it doesn't require XP either. It's just entirely free, and that's why that's amazing. So, again, you can use this in a whole bunch of ways, and, again, most people probably don't believe the 5% thing, because there's hardly any stats to people back it up, but here we have right now. Hopefully you just saw that right there. So, with that said, let's move on to the fourth, little tip from, which we wouldn't believe because it sounds like it isn't true, but it actually is. I guess, terrible advice that it's kind of real here, because it is to do with walking versus running. So, this is actually one for people who, know that Minecraft a lot, because it was one I figured would be the opposite way around, and I was kind of surprised when I did the testing, and I figured maybe you would be too, because basically, walking and running in Minecraft, you're probably aware that when you run, it uses something like 10 times the, your hunger, your saturation, your actual, ability to do stuff, which is a lot more, which means you'd figure if you have a bad food, let's say zombie flesh is all you have, you'd figure it'd be better just to walk, because otherwise you're going to use all that saturation, you're going to stop every 5 seconds to eat, and therefore it might be slower to run, or, it might be, just less efficient stuff. However, I did the actual test on, maybe 100 something block gap, and it took 50 seconds to walk, even with the, thing, and I did have to refill just once at the end, and even though I was running, and you have to stop 3 times to eat, the amount of time it takes to eat, especially on console, where you can eat twice at once, is actually significantly less, even with the very worst food in the game. So, yeah, if you've got a lot of food, if you have a little bit of food, then it's still not worth doing, but if you have any amount of food above, let's say, 5 or 10 bits, then it's always better to just sprint everywhere, as long as you're not sprint jumping, because that's just really inefficient, but it's always better to sprint places than it is to walk, because even though it's only a 20% bonus for 10 times the hunger, that still just adds up to a lot more time saved than it does, matter of the thing. So, yeah, the only reason to walk instead of run is if you really value your food. If you value your time, even if you've got rotten flesh, it's still better to sprint, which, again, it seems counterintuitive given, how those numbers work, but again, it's just a weird little math thing that maybe you didn't know about. So, with that said, let's move on to the final little bit of, little piece of Minecraft advice that sounds off on the surface, because it is... Oh, look, the pig's gone so far since I let him go free. Because it is to do with glowstone. So, a lot of people love lighting solutions for their world that are, kind of seamless. And this is one that seems like it's just a ridiculous troll. But basically, one of the best ways to light your world without anyone being able to see how it's lit is to just go into trees, remove the top block, and then replace it with glowstone. So this sounds like a terrible idea because, again, for the longest time, removing the top block of a tree would, remove the whole tree. As far as I can tell, that's not always the case anymore. So let's remove this right here, the top block of the tree, and replace it with glowstone. So once you've got the first block on there, you're going to see, you can just about see it, but once you place the second and then that one, as you can see, the block is entirely invisible. However, now if we go to nighttime, despite the fact that we can't see the glowstone at all, because the tree itself is transparent, we can just about see it there. So because the tree itself is, transparent, from over here, you can still see the light, and it means you just get this really nice glow in the forest that no one can see. Like, you can see from down here, no glowstone visible whatsoever. From up there, you can see it from, one side, but even then, we can patch that in if we want, if we like. Okay, so let's do that right now, actually, because it's kind of bugged me. So let's take this one right here, and let's see if we can... Okay, I guess we'll have to jump up there. But even if it's invisible on all sides, because the block isn't transparent, even if you can't see through it, which I know it doesn't make any sense that it's transparent, but you can't see through it. But that's how Minecraft works. It's transparent, you can't see through it, but it still lights up the forest, and it gives it this really nice glow, and it's great for building, it's great for custom maps. And again, just the sort of thing that you assume someone tells you is a troll, but it actually is quite real, and I figured that might be useful. So let's show with another tree. This one's a bit trickier, because it's again, it's much taller, but let's just show with this tree right here. Oh, this probably doesn't even need to be, done the whole thing. So let's go like that, and as you can see, tree is entirely invisible. The glowstone, sorry, is entirely visible, but you can still get that nice glow from it, and it just, again, it makes forests feel that so much better. It doesn't light them up so well for mobs, but it does mean that you can see where you're going, and again, it's another seamless form of lighting for the world that you might not have previously known about. So yeah, those are 5 pieces of Minecraft advice that actually do work. I hope you learned at least one thing in there, and if you didn't, then I guess you're very smart, and you should leave a comment down below saying, I knew all of these, and Toy Cat was wrong and everything. Let me know down in the comments down below. Otherwise, like that if you did like it, share if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here, because I make videos like this one every single day on my channel, and if you subscribe, you'll see them daily on your homepage. Thank you all very much for watching this video, because I'll have to see you all in the next one. Isn't the Let's Play world, isn't the creative world always lovely at night? I think it is, especially with the rainbow. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.